Behind every clinical trial, the human side of research, family, stories, and responsibility. Presenting you a research which was selected for the presentation at the 2026 annual conference by the Indian Society for Clinical Research on 14 February. On this Valentine's Day, we celebrate love, and in clinical research, love is reflected in responsibility, protection, and standing by families in their most vulnerable moments. As part of the study, we chose to look at the most painful and sensitive reality of the clinical trials, the deaths that sometimes occur during the study. Behind every number is a family, a story, a life that mattered deeply to some. We examined how these deaths are evaluated, how different stakeholders respond, how many families have received compensation, and how long they had to wait. We also looked honestly at the reasons for delay, the gaps in the system, and who holds responsibility. Because in moments of loss, time matters, transparency matters, compassion matters. Let me take you into a real clinical study, a study of patients who experience serious adverse events, and the conversations with families who lost their near and dear ones during a trial. A serious adverse event happens in a clinical trial. A family standing outside a hospital room. Their first question is not about protocol deviation, not about causality categories, not about regulatory timelines. Their question is very simple. Will my loved one be taken care of? Will the system stand by us? Will compassion be provided? Who decides? When will it happen? We did this study. India has one of the most structured regulatory frameworks for participant protection under NDCT 2019 guidelines. It intentionally requires multi-layered review, investigators, sponsors, ethics committees, and regulators because safety decisions should never depend on a single voice. Is the strength, but the strength at the policy level must translate into clarity at the bedside. When a patient asks at the time of serious adverse event, who decides, when will help come, do I have rights? If we hesitate even for a moment, trust begins to erode. So our study asks two very human questions. Are stakeholders interpreting serious adverse event consistently? And do the patients truly understand their rights? Not on paper, but in their hearts. Because ethical research is not just informed consent, it is informed comprehension. How we studied this? We designed the study with two lenses, one looking at systems, one looking at the people. This study used a prospective, a retrospective hybrid design. So retrospective component, we reviewed 48 previously reported serious adverse events cases over a defined 2-year period. These cases were already evaluated by multiple stakeholders as part of routine regulatory process. We compared how investigators, sponsors, and ethics and regulatory reviewers independently assessed the causality. To quantify this agreement, we use Cohen's kappa, a statistical method that measures inter-rater agreement while correcting for chance overlap. Simple percentage agreement can exaggerate alignment, but kappa provides a more rigorous estimate of a true concordance. And the prospective component of the study, then we turn towards the patient experience. We then conducted structured interviews while with the surviving participants of the relatives. We interviewed participants and the relatives using structured, compassionate conversations in their own language, in a neutral environment, not to test them, but to understand them. We asked, did you understand what happened? Did you feel supported? Did you know your rights? And we measured the comprehension across literacy levels using statistical association test by chi-square test. But behind every percentage was a person telling us their story. What we found from systems perspective, we found moderate agreement across stakeholders. This is important. It means the framework is working, but it also tells us that the implementation can be harmonized further, not because the system is weak, but because every complex system evolves. And here is the key insights. The variability was not about conflicting evidences, it was about perspectives. The investigators see the bedside reality, sponsors see global safety signals, ethics committees see participant protection, and regulators see public health. Different lenses, same commitment to safety. This is not inconsistency, this is a layered responsibility. On the patient side, we saw something deeply instructive. Higher educated participants showed about 92% comprehension of serious adverse event rights. Among illiterate participants, it was only 80%. Most patients understood, but the understanding was not equal, and in ethics, almost equal is not equal enough. If even one group understands less because of literacy, culture, or communication style, the system must adapt. What this means, our findings do not criticize the regulatory structure, in fact, they confirm its strength. What they reveal is implementation opportunity. Across accreditation, audits, and ethics committees, evaluations nationwide, a pattern repeats. The sites with structured training, standardized documentation, the mock SAE drills, and the simplified communication with the patients function with greater confidence and clarity. So, this study quantifies what many of us intuitively observe. Excellence in research does not come from more rules, it comes from consistent execution of existing ones. And that is empowering because harmonization is achievable. Now let's talk about the global relevance of the study. Clinical research credibility anywhere in the world depends on two pillars. One, operational consistency, and two, public trust. When stakeholders proactively evaluate themselves, they signal maturity. This study contributes to implementation science. We are not proposing a new causality scales. Robust framework already exists. We are evaluating how consistently they are applied in the real world settings. Our actionable recommendations include the standardized serious adverse event documentation templates. Number 2, joint stakeholder training workshops. Number 3, periodic serious adverse event mock drills. Number 4, simplified patient communication material. And number 5, structured ethics committee follow-up mechanisms. These are achievable improvements that strengthen efficiency without regulatory reform. So globally, clinical research systems mature when they measure themselves. Proactive evaluation reinforces credibility. Variability is not a failure, it is just the data that guides harmonization. This study aligns with the international principles of continuous quality improvement and participant-centered research ethics. The human conclusion of the study at its core, the study is not about statistics, it is about the reassurance. The reassurance that when something serious happens, the system responds with clarity, fairness, and compassion, not just legally, but emotionally. And the trust grows. The currency of the clinical research is trust. With trust, patients become partners in the progress. On a different note, I want to tell to all Indian clinical researchers, the annual conference of Indian Society for Clinical Research is more than a conference. It is where our community comes alive. All clinical research professionals should be members of Indian Society for Clinical Research. Alongside the serious scientific discussions, there is music, dance, laughter, and friendship. It reminds us that while our work is heavy with responsibility, it is also filled with passion, energy, and hope. This is where the future of clinical research gathers, and that future is you.